Coming up on ATV News.
You may have seen the rallies around the world about climate change. We'll show you how people in Logan shared their voice.
A car and ambulance collided. We'll tell you why the driver didn't get out of the way.
I wish we didn't have to have this event.
We'll show you how these people are raising awareness for suicide prevention.
The stadium will be full at homecoming. I'll tell you what gear you need to bring in weather.
Utah State beat San Diego State over the weekend. I'll tell you the last time that happened.
All that and more, this is ATV News. Welcome to this week's edition of ATV News. I'm Kendall Douglas.
And I'm Ayana Likens. 22-year-old Alex Whipple was sentenced to life without parole yesterday for the murder of his 5-year-old niece, Lizzie Shelley. Whipple pled guilty to aggravated murder, child kidnapping, rape of a child, and sodomy of a child. Whipple's confession to murder spared him the death penalty.
100 met in front of Old Main to join the global climate strike. Cold temperatures and rain didn't stop USU students and faculty Friday as they joined an estimated 4 million protesters around the world in the global climate strike. 16-year-old Greta Thunberg from Sweden inspired the movement in preparation for the United Nations Climate Summit.
We're here to demand attention for and action to create solutions for the global climate crisis.
Protesters asked the crowd to reduce their own emissions and contact local officials demanding carbon neutrality.
A baby was found not breathing from being tangled in the window blind cords on Thursday afternoon. Family members performed CPR on the baby. When emergency crews arrived at the home, the baby was crying and breathing on its own. First responders took the baby to Logan Regional Hospital and was later transferred to a hospital in the Salt Lake area.
A woman is recovering today from a serious car crash that trapped her in her car. That is the hydraulic spreader firefighters had to use to get the driver out of her car. Once she was securely on the stretcher and placed into the ambulance, firefighters extracted her injured dog. It was Thursday night on 700 East, 1000 North when the driver of a car collided with this car and this car, sending the driver in her car on its side.
I heard the crash before I saw it, so I heard it and then I looked in my mirror, in my rearview mirror, and I saw them hit the car and then flip.
Witnesses say the 41-year-old driver was swerving before hitting the two cars. Officers say her injuries are not life-threatening and the crash is still under investigation. That was just one car crash that happened in Cache Valley this week. 2 additional people are seriously injured after a car crash in Smithfield on Monday night. The driver of this car collided head-on with a blue Mercedes on Main Street. Each car only had one person. Both had to be extracted and transported to the hospital. The status of the drivers is unknown. Officers say it's rare to see car crashes like this in Smithfield.
We have seen accidents like this before, just not in quite a while, but we knew it was a severe crash when we arrived on scene and just looked at the initial damage to the cars.
The driver of the Mercedes was heading southbound in the inside northbound lane when the crash occurred, causing the Mercedes to flip at least once. The next crash we have for you left one person walking away a little sore. The real question is, who is at fault?
A vehicle driven by a deaf driver and an ambulance collided on 4th North and Main Street in Logan on Saturday afternoon. The driver claimed she was hit, but UHP claimed that she hit the ambulance.
I'm in the middle of the intersection and the ambulance just hit me on the driver's side at the back end. Spun her around and pulled over to the side and got my kids out.
She was in the right westbound lane and the other traffic was stopped, but again she was deaf and she didn't know why the other traffic was stopped. But she proceeded through the intersection and clipped the front of his ambulance.
According to UHP, the medics said that they went through the intersection lane by lane, making sure that everything was clear. Jessica said that she didn't hear the ambulance because she's deaf.
UHP reported, despite the busy intersection, there were no major injuries.
The kids look like they have some red on them from the seat belts. They were restrained properly, and she was complaining of just a sore back.
We think we're okay. We're going to go to the hospital and make sure.
People need to realize when we're running code, lights and sirens, you need to yield, go to the right, or stop as far as at the intersection so we can proceed through those intersections safely.
Austin Eller, ATV News.
UHP stated the crash is still under investigation.
USU released the results of a second survey about sexual misconduct last week. The survey took place in 2017. USU says the new survey results showed an increase in overall awareness in how students report sexual misconduct, as well as an increase in awareness of resources available to those affected.
Emily Hill is live at the Eccles Conference Center for a symposium on the First Amendment values today.
What was that?
Giving you real news and engaging in the information, but the distance that the news has to travel from that sort of news gatherer to you is now more circuitous, right? You get it.
Yeah, Kendall. Earlier, I got to speak to some people taking part in this symposium to help students gain a better understanding of how the Bill of Rights applies today. I'm at the panel now, listening to Professor Tom Terry, Professor Rennell Anderson Jones, and Justice Paige Peterson.
I am a constitutional law professor, and I never read.
Are we in SOT?
I'm most excited about this, the entire celebration, and the fact that our liberties are really guaranteed by the Supreme Court. And as I've told my students, that we don't really have three equal branches of government. We have one of the branches, the Supreme Court, is sort of the referee, and when it comes down to a disagreement, they're the ones that make the final decision.
But I've spent a good part of my life, like all journalists, celebrating the First Amendment and treasuring its contribution to our society.
Positive and potentially really negative. It's the reason why there's such a concern about disinformation campaigns.
Dr. Donald Shaw will be at the Eccles Science Learning Center tonight from 8:30 to 9 to discuss the threats and triumphs of the First Amendment. Live at the Eccles Conference Center, Emily Hill. Back to you, Kaden.
Thank you, Emily. And survivors gathered to support each other during Suicide Awareness Month.
That's right. I was able to go and join them on this walk. The sound of cheers and shedding of tears. This is New Hope's 12th Suicide Awareness Walk.
To see everybody, it breaks my heart because I wish we didn't have to have this event, and I wish we didn't have people who were touched by suicide.
New Hope started 12 years ago. Their goals, suicide awareness and suicide prevention.
It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to tell people that you need help.
This walk means something to me personally because one of my own friends took his own life about a week and a half ago. At the end of the walk, the Hope Squad was there with smiling faces, cheering you on.
Alex Boyer preached music as a way of healing.
Most of us use it by accident. Let's say you're going through a crappy time and then you sit in your car, you turn on the radio, all of a sudden this song comes on that was like supposed to be for you, right? It's like, oh my gosh, and you feel so much better. But that happened by accident. You know, for me, my goal is that I want to use it deliberately.
Boyer said the linked arms reminded him of a picket line.
It's like where everyone comes and link arms and says, you know what? I've been through the same thing that you have. I understand more than anyone else what you've gone through.
Doves flew off, starting a moment of silence. Kendall Douglas, ATV News. Christy Jones says if you or anyone you know needs help, call the Suicide Prevention Hotline or download the Safe UT app.
Looks like it was a beautiful day to raise awareness for something so important.
Yeah, the weather today's looking great. When we come back, I'll have our weather. The current temperature in Logan is 72 degrees.
And coming up, we'll show you why these tractors are on campus instead of the farm.
USU homecoming events are in full swing. Right now, we'll show you what's happening so you don't miss out.
And we'll show you how Utah State is making it easier for students to feed themselves.
Look at me, hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
I tried Oxy at a couple of parties. I thought I had it under control. I didn't know it'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
Welcome back. Homecoming is a time for traditions, and one of these traditions caused the closure of a roundabout on campus. On Monday, USU students flooded the Taggart Student Center roundabout with paint and Aggie pride.
Street painting is a great opportunity for clubs and organizations to come and meet other Aggies and promote their club and organization. This year we bought about 60 gallons of paint and we had over 70 clubs come and paint.
Says that painting the TSC roundabout has been a homecoming tradition for over 20 years. The artwork can be seen all through homecoming week.
Cass Week celebrated with a tractor parade last Friday. Aggies young and old gathered on Aggie Boulevard despite the rain Friday to witness the USU tractor parade.
We have tractors from our Ag Systems kids, we've got tractors from local companies, and they come along with different clubs and student organizations, and they kind of show off their tractors and toss candy to anybody who's around.
The tractor parade is one of the many events held by the College of Agriculture and Applied Sciences. CAS officials say their college is more than just cows, plows, and sows. Their college includes aviation, landscape architecture, and outdoor product design.
All right, Aggies, we're in the middle of homecoming week right now, but don't worry, it's not over yet. Going on right now today, Wednesday, is the Aggie Chocolate Expo happening right now until 8 p.m. And later tonight, USU's most eligible bachelors are competing at Mr. USEU. So go check out those fine gentlemen. And on Thursday is the karaoke in the TSC, so get ready to sing or watch. And Friday is the annual homecoming dance, so be ready and geared up in those throwback clothes. And later that night at midnight, if you want to grab your sweetheart and take them to the Block A, you can become a true Aggie. And the annual running of the bulls is Saturday. So if you want to join in on that 5K and get some running in the morning, that's a great start. They'll be at the Aggie Tabernacle. And finish off homecoming with a burger and begin tailgating at 2:30 p.m. to get ready for the homecoming game. The big game starts at 5:30 p.m. at the Maverick Stadium, so get ready to cheer on your Aggies. For a more detailed schedule of USU's homecoming events, visit our Facebook page.
The first Aggie Chocolate Expo is happening today. Michael Kay joins us from the Aggie Chocolate Factory.
Here you go. That's right, I'm here at the first ever Chocolate Expo here at the Aggie Chocolate Factory. I'm with Steve Shelton right now. Steve, can you tell me about what's going on right now?
Well, we're just having a celebration of all things chocolate. We just wanted to get people out from the community, down from their offices on campus, and sugar them all up. Get them a sample of our new milk chocolate, our new Aggie ice cream, our chocolate jam, and a bunch of other things that we have here going on that we just wanted to celebrate and have some fun.
All right. And well, that's great. This event goes till 8 o'clock tonight. Make sure to come check it out. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, so we've got some weather going on this week. I'm just waiting for the green screen to come on.
Sorry guys, we're having some technical difficulties. All right, and Utah State has a program to help those students who need food assistance. Ariana Piper tells us more about this resource.
The Cache Community Food Pantry is an emergency food assistance program for people in need.
My first goal is to put food on the table of a family or an individual who is struggling.
My long-term goal is to help them to get back on their feet to where they don't have to come to the pantry.
Whitaker says the Cache Community Food Pantry has a lot of support from the community.
Last year we had about 1.2 million pounds of food come through the food pantry.
Whitaker says many USU students donate to the food pantry.
They do stuff a bus in the fall. They do food drives and they collect foods from different buildings and things like that up at USU that all comes down here.
The Cache Community Food Pantry works with USU to help students in need.
We have a food pantry set up in the Taggart Center. It's called the Student Nutrition Access Center, the SNAC program.
There's some bags over there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
SNAC has been on USU campus for about 10 years.
6 students per week were served, and since 2015 we've grown steadily every year to where we are today at about 80 students per day.
SNAC gets food from the Cache Community Food Pantry, USU Dining Services, and the Student Organic Farm.
It really hits kind of like everything you could have in a pantry, you know, the dry goods, canned goods, single serving meals, fresh produce, fresh fruit.
Getting food at the snack pantry is easy. All you need to do is swipe your ID and bring a bag to put your food in.
I think we've done a pretty good job of fighting the stigma with it, with no requirements for eligibility. All you have to have is your student ID.
Worth says SNAC is always looking for more student volunteers.
The best way for students to come get involved is to stop by the Service Center. It's open 5 days a week.
The Service Center has 16 different programs that students can join. Ariana Piper, ATV News.
You can find volunteer opportunities on campus on Aggie Sync. Well, Shay Densley joins us for weather. Shay, it would kind of be fun to go to the food pantry and go on a picnic, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the weather today is looking fantastic. Why don't we take a look at the national forecast? All right, people, so what we've got going on so far is we're looking pretty dry this week. On the East Coast here, we have just a little bit of precipitation down here in the south. And in the Midwest, not too much going on. A little bit right here in that green is maybe some light precipitation. Looking over onto the West Coast, not much going on. As you can see, everything's looking pretty dry. Why don't we go ahead and actually take a look outside. So right now we have a beautiful day looking ahead of us, nice warm temperatures. So for homecoming this week, everyone take advantage of the weather while you can. Now let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. All right, so for today we have some beautiful temperatures, 72, nice and warm, nice and sunny as well. We're looking through that as well on Thursday, and same with Friday, warmer temperatures on Thursday. And we're not worrying about too much. What we need to be concerned about is Saturday. Saturday's the homecoming game, and we've got some rain coming through, so bring your rain ponchos, bring your rain boots, because you need to stay nice and dry. And then on Sunday, we have a little bit more rain, and Monday, we've got a little bit more sun. That's it for weather.
Well, thank you, Shay. And Adam Larson now we'll have our full weather, sports report.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get too rainy this weekend. Aggie fans showed up for the football game against San Diego State over last weekend. How long has it been since they beat the Aztecs, though?
And there's a new way Aggies are getting around on campus. We'll tell you what we found out about them.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
ATV Sports, let's check out what happened over the past week. Utah State football traveled down to San Diego State to take on the Aztecs, looking for their first win in over 50 years. Little Aggies showed up to cheer on a squad whose last win was in 1967. Here's a newspaper article from that game in late November. Aggie fans got there early for the tailgate, but were ultimately there to see one thing.
I think Utah State is going to take it to them. They've had a really good run. They've had a lot of tight games and have done really, really well. And I think that San Diego State's super competitive, but Utah State's really pulled some things together in the last few years to really give them a run for their money. It'll be a fun game.
San Diego State started off the scoring, knocking in the field goal on their first drive of the night, but Utah State would answer with the pick six from Shaq Bond. His first interception of the season and only the second interception of the season for Utah State's defense. Bond returned it 48 yards for the touchdown to get Utah State on the scoreboard. Dominic Eberle booted in one of his 3 field goals here, and Utah State he had 3 field goals on the night. Good for, Utah State stuffing the defense here, or stuffing the running back here, excuse me. Stuffing the running back here, not allowing the San Diego State to score many, and then Jalen Warren takes this one in from 11 yards out, bouncing off defenders, scoring the only offensive touchdown of the night for Utah State. Aggie offense had 375 yards on the night, over 200 yards under their previous high of the season. Dominique Eberle was named Mountain West Special Teams Player of the Week for his performance. Aggies' win was their first in 52 years since 1967 over the Aztec team. 2-1 on the season now. Utah State takes on Colorado State this Saturday on homecoming night. Utah State volleyball looked to end its losing streak with games over Utah Valley and Boise State at home in the last week. Aggies had a few solid kills from Corinne Larson here, then Heidi Carpenter dumped the ball over before star middle blocker Bailey Downing slams this one down the right line. Utah State had 4 players in the game with at least 3 kills, but also 4 players with 3 errors. The Aggies had 22 kills, but 20 errors overall, and the errors playing a large part in the 0-3 loss to Utah Valley. Utah State's coach says his team needs to be more engaged on every point.
We don't compete well for a long enough period of time. We show little glimpses, but we can't keep showing glimpses. We got to go finish something out.
Aggies would play better against Boise State last night, finishing with 26 kills, including this one from Larson. Utah State finished the match with just 13 errors as well as 9 blocks, and definitely played a little bit better, but only fell 0-3 to the Broncos yet again. So Utah State now has lost 20 straight sets on the season, falling to 0-13. Their next game is tomorrow at Air Force. Utah State soccer wrapped up non-conference play at home Sunday against Idaho State. The Aggies struck first after Ashley Cardozo crossed it into the middle, and Bengal defender Carlin Wurlitzer accidentally kicks it into her own goal. The Aggies' first time this season capitalizing on an own goal. Utah State finished the game with 17 shots to Idaho State's, and the second goal of the game here scored by Maya Lorenzana, her first career goal. And Aggies would save all 3 of the Bengals' shots on goals, including this wonderful diving save by De'Ara Walton. Check out that dive there. Aggies would have another first career goal as well, with Jordan Foraker punching this one through to cap off a 3-0 win for Utah State. The Aggies have had 11 players score goals this season going into conference play. Their next game is Friday at UNLV. Utah State men's basketball was announced as the team of the year at the 41st Dinner of Champions by the Utah MS Society last week. Aggie men's and women's hoop also started practice officially yesterday. First men's home game is October 30th, and the first women's home game is November 2nd. In high school sports, Green Canyon took on Mountain Crest in football at home in a rainy, low-scoring affair. Mountain Crest knocked in their second field goal of the game here late in the fourth quarter to put the Mustangs up 6-0. Green Canyon would try to answer on their next drive, but got stuffed here before Jacob London takes this quarterback keeper all the way inside the 10-yard line, setting up a 1st and goal for the Wolves, trying to score some points in this game, but they would be unable to do so, forcing a 3-and-out, but then turned around and forced a 3-and-out for the Mustangs, but got called for roughing the kicker in their own end zone, and Coach Craig Ander mad about that one, allowing the Mustangs to run out the clock unconventional way here. Quarterback just runs backward and runs that one out. Mustangs win 6-0 and move to 2-0 in region play after starting the season 0-4 in non-region. Wow, Green Canyon completely the opposite, 0-2 now in region play after starting the season 4-0. Ridgeline traveled up north to Skyview to take on the Bobcats on homecoming night. Caden Cox scrambled away from the Skyview defense here to dropping a long bomb to Cameron Daly. Cox had 190 passing yards in this game, helped by that 35-yard gain, setting up a field goal attempt for the Riverhawks, but a bad snap would keep this game scoreless as the Bobcats stuff that one easily. Cox struggled to get going after the first quarter, throwing 2 interceptions in the second quarter. Skyview used that one to toss a 58-yard touchdown pass to Mason Falslev, getting on the board at the end of the first half. The first score in that game coming with 17 seconds left. Skyview pulled away in the third quarter, 3 passing touchdowns, winning that one 38-0. So what an eventful weekend we had in sports. A lot of football. Yet again, it's football season. It's been fun though.
Yeah, the Aggies are so fun to watch. I can't wait for homecoming night to finally have them back.
Hopefully it doesn't get too rainy this year.
Yes. And now we're talking skateboards. You may have ridden a skateboard, but have you ridden an electric one? Michael Kay gives us a look at the safety of electric skateboards.
That's the sound of a motorized skateboard, one of the newer ways USU students are getting around campus.
It has a range of 20 miles. You can get up to a speed of about 20 miles per hour.
This one in particular goes about 24 miles an hour. On campus, I haven't gone full speed. I've probably gone the most 15 miles an hour.
With how fast these skateboards can go, you would expect there to be some regulations surrounding them. However, so far, USU and Utah at large don't have any.
I think it just has to do with the fact that it's emerging technology.
Even with no official regulations, students who ride motorized skateboards have their own ways of preventing accidents.
I follow the same rules as bicycles. You either stay in bike lanes or I try to stay to the farthest right lane as possible.
The closest thing to regulation that USU has for motorized skateboards are the same rules as bikes, but until regulations are passed,
learn how to use it first before riding it on campus in front of a bunch of people.
They're just as safe as any other regular skateboard. I mean, you assume the risks whenever you take out any form of outdoor activity.
Michael Kay, ATV News.
California and Michigan are currently the only states with laws covering motorized skateboards.
USU Career Services hosted the first of many career fairs this year, whether you've graduated or not. The Fall STEM Fair lets students who are in science, technology, engineering, or math fields meet with local and national employers on Monday. Career Services says students should meet with them ahead of their work on their resume and interview skills.
And then they're coming to the fair prepared with elevator pitch and just hoping to gain opportunities.
An elevator pitch is a brief speech that tells an employer who you are, what you do, and what you want. Career Services also suggests that you come dressed in business casual and have lots of questions for potential employers. Students hope to get their foot in the door with companies before they graduate. Career Services is located in the bottom of the University Inn. The next career fair will be Tuesday, October 8th in the TSC.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of ATV News. Catch all the latest editions of ATV News on our Facebook page.
We'll leave you with some shots of Aggie Chocolate Factory.
Have a great week, Aggies.
What if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.